Hi, I'm Keith, and this is going to be Cooking with Keith. I've learned that some of my young friends don't know how to cook, and I had requests from my own sons for recipes. So I decided that I would have a little bit of a video with my friend Jake and teach some fundamentals of cooking in my kitchen. Today we're going to start not with any recipes, just with some fundamental cooking instruments that everybody should have in their own new apartment or new married couple should have. When I started cooking, I was in the Boy Scouts. We didn't have anything. We had just a little pot and pan and a fork and a spoon kit, and maybe somebody had a big old pot, and that was it. But I learned how to cook there. I learned how to cook in the woods over simple fires, and I enjoyed the camaraderie of cooking for other people. When I went on my own when I was 17, I started cooking because I needed to cook for myself. And you need some fundamental tools. We'll start off with knives. Knives are one of the fundamental tools that you need. And if you can, spend a little bit of money on the knife. Look around at garage sales. Do whatever you can to get a decent knife, a decent steel knife. This is a steel knife. This is one of the original knives. It's called the chef knife that I've had since I was 17 years old, over 40 years ago. I still use it, still have it. This is a steel, it's called, which is used to sharpen the knife. Okay, this is a little steel. They say size doesn't matter, but I think you should match your size. This is my steel, which you use and you learn how to use to sharpen a knife. But it's very important to have sharp knives. Besides the chef's knife, the paring knife is also very important. Now there's 8, 10, 12 different kinds of knives, but these two are very simple. You can find them relatively inexpensively, but it handles 95% of the things that you have to do. There's plenty of other knives, but we're keeping it simple here. We're keeping this very simple to teach people who don't know how to cook and what the fundamental tools are. So obviously if you have knives and you're going to cut, you need something to cut on. You don't want to cut on something like this, a granite. You need a cutting board. And there's many kinds of cutting boards. Wooden cutting boards, and these plastic, polyurethane, whatever they are, cutting boards. Again, this is a cutting board that I had when I first started, I had my first apartment when I was 17. It's still here, still one of my favorites. I still use it all the time. I like wood cutting boards, but it's important when you're cooking, and we'll talk about it at a later time, that you have something that you can clean easy and you separate the meats, because you don't want a chicken being cut up and then maybe have beef being cut up and mixed in with the meat, or you're cutting vegetables on top of something where you just cut chicken. So I recommend these are very inexpensive, that you get some of these, and you can look around or shop around and get one of these that last you a lifetime. And also look in estate sales and things like that for some of the instruments that we're going to show you today, some of the very fundamental things. Okay, so you have your knives, you're all ready to cut up, you have your cutting boards, and we're done cutting the onions and the whatever else you're cutting up. One of the things, before we go into the pots and pans we're about to talk about, these little ramekins or Pyrex dishes, when you're cutting up different things, and paper plates. Very fundamental, very simple. So you cut a bunch of onions, and you cut a bunch of carrots that are in your recipe, and you cut a bunch of garlic, and you put them on the paper plate, and it says on cleanup, and you have all these plates lined up with all this stuff. And then once you actually start to cook and throw the things in, sometimes I put them in these. Anytime I see these on sale or in a garage sale, like I said, I grab them. They're the greatest things in the world. You put it all in this and you line it up and you get ready to start your cooking. When you're starting to cook, you need some pots and pans. So when we're using pots and pans, I'm just doing simple fundamental pots and pans. This is a cast iron pan, probably 12-inch, that I got for a wedding gift 34 years ago. Still use it almost every day. It stays what they call seasoned. We'll talk about that later. That's where you have oil that makes it almost like a non-stick pan. You can take this pan, you can cook in it, you can roast your onions, your mushrooms, and everything else, and then put your meat in it and stick it right in the oven. It's an all-purpose one-pot pan. This is a non-stick Teflon type pan. This is for eggs over easy or something like that. These two will do 95% of the things that you have to cook in, any of the recipes we're about to go through. You make an omelet, you make regular eggs over easy, you put it in this pan with a little butter, you're set. The last of the pans that I'm going to show you is what's called a Dutch oven. This one is made by Cuisinart. It probably weighs about 10 pounds. I have a big one that I take camping in the woods and cook here with. This is a cast iron. Again, the same concept. You can cook everything in this. You can make spaghetti sauce in this. You can make stews in this. Everything gets made in this, and it's a one-pot deal. So you roast your onions, your carrots, your vegetables, you put your meat in, you sear your meat. Everything gets done in this pan. So these are the fundamental vessels of cooking. Maybe you could have a larger pot for boiling water, but it's not necessary unless you're cooking for 12 people. This will take care of it if you're going to make some pasta or something like that. Coming around the bend here, we have some fundamental tools. These tongs are the greatest things in the world. They're great for barbecuing, they're great for salads, they're great for having fun, chasing little kids around. They're just a lot of fun. They do everything for you. All right, we all know spatulas. This is like a Chinese spatula, just happens to be. There's 6,000 different kinds of spatulas. It's also nice to have a non-stick type spatula around, but all you need is one when you're starting out. You don't need to have a lot of different toys like this. Besides the knives, I have to say that probably the most important item that you have in your little arsenal here of cooking, to learn how to cook, is thermometers. Temperature is the key. To be able to cook something good, you just can't throw it in the oven and take it out when the guests come, which is what my wife did when we first were married. So if you were late, you got burnt chicken. If you were early, you got bloody chicken. So what you need is a temperature. This is an instant thermometer. You stick it in, bing, it tells you the temperature. Very inexpensive, very, very critical to have to see what the right temperature, especially with poultry and meats, is. I prefer to have this thermometer. I think is key to have. It's a little more pricey. You don't need it when you're starting out maybe, but they sell these at Home Depot and Bed & Bath or whatever. This is a thermometer that you can stick in a roast and not have to open up the oven, because every time you open up the oven, the temperature fluctuates and affects the quality of your meat and your cooking. So you stick this thing in the roast beast, and then you set the temperature that you want it to bake on, 115 for rare, 120 or so for medium, and you don't even have to open up the oven, which is a way you'll see that we cook a roast beef, and you know exactly what's going on inside that meat. So these things, next to the knives, these are two of the most important items to have when you're cooking, because you need to know what the temperature is, what the temperature of the oil is if you're frying something, and they have to be accurate. Now, besides these things here, salad, because you're always going to make a salad, most likely if you're having guests over or cooking. A salad spinner, I don't know if it's 100% necessary, but it's a lot of fun and it really works efficiently and it's very inexpensive, so you might as well have it. Clean out your lettuce, you're cleaning it out in here, your arugula, whatever have you, spinach, and then you put it in here and it just kind of spins the thing around and gets all the water off of it. Like I said, it's a lot of fun. It's good if you have kids around. Salad bowl. Again, this is something that I had since I had my first apartment. It looks beat up. It still works. It's never going to break, I don't think. And it's always good to have one. Just, pick it up from the store, spend $30 or $20 or whatever it is, and you're going to have it till you're ancient also. Finally, just some fundamental stuff to load your kitchen with, talking about salads especially. Virgin olive oil, extra virgin olive oil. It's called extra virgin olive oil because it is the first press olive oil. It's cold press olive oil. Olive oil, as they go along, after they press it the first time, then they go and they press it the second time, and then it's just virgin olive oil. And then they go and press it again, and it comes down, it gets diluted and worse tasting. Any vinegar, balsamic vinegar, regular red Italian vinegar, key to have if you're making salads, if you're cooking, you know, a lot of different things. Of course, salt and pepper. Kosher salt is the only kind I use, not necessarily this one. I prefer Morton's. A pepper grinder, another nice thing to have. Pepper out of a can is not the same as when you grind it. This particular grinder also is not expensive. It was rated the easiest and the best to use for Consumer Reports. It has like 5 different grades: coarse pepper, soft pepper. So you pepper by shifting it around, and it comes out all different grades, works very efficiently, and you can see when you're running out of pepper, which is very important. Finally, a Dijon mustard, some good, decent quality mustard. It's great to have for a salad, a basic salad of olive oil, a little mustard, a little garlic, dipped around with some balsamic vinegar is just a real quick, easy meal. So this by no means is anything all-inclusive. There's plenty of other tools that you have, but if you have these fundamental tools, you're already set to start cooking, which we will do in the next segment. Okay, so we have before us the fundamentals of what you need to get started in the kitchen. Very simple, not expensive. As you can see, you could probably, you know, go around and grab these for less than $100 someplace. And next session, we're going to have some fun cooking. This is Cooking with Keith. Have a good night.